colors that I'd chosen for myself were those kind of very pastely pink and almost like a silverish blue, which
Mm-hmm.
had a, I went for them because they felt like they had an ethereal feel, very light, kind of mystical colors,
Yeah.
almost fairy-like.
Mm.
And but what I didn't know was how they were actually coming across the other end, because to me they felt ethereal and mystical, but they also, which I wasn't taking into account, felt quite cold, which is not, the way I work. And so
It's
they didn't feel grounded and connected, um, and warm
yeah.
and
Yeah.
reflective and all those other things. So what I really love about Sprout is as you get to know your business, as you get to know your clients more, as you change your offerings, as you change your style and the way you want to express yourself changes,
Mm-hmm.
you realize that even it may be one color, it may be all of them are just completely not the expression of yourself that you want to show anymore. Like now, I've decided one or two of the colors are a bit off. I feel confident that I can go back into the materials and figure out for myself, what really is it that's slightly off, and I can keep shifting it and changing it as
Mm-hmm.
my expression changes.
Yeah.
And then I also just feel that now I'm more equipped and resourced in terms of knowing how to put a graphic together. We need that as,
Yeah.
if you're running a small business and you're a one woman show doing it all, you
Mm.
need to be able to learn those skills. And besides anything else, it's just fun, isn't it? Being able
Yeah.
to play with it. And with Sprout, it's over a certain length of time
Mm.
and you're actually in it all the time. So I found that even when I was doing the lessons on photographs or textures, I'm still getting a feel for, oh, what's the vibe? What's the color that feels really me here? What's the
Mm-hmm.
part that I'm really drawn to that really speaks to me?
Yep.
And just because there's so many different facets and aspects to the process, you're just in it for so long that it just gives you more time to explore and go deeper and to actually play with things. So then when you do get something, you feel more certain that it's the right thing because you've experimented with so many other things.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're looking at the big picture. It's not just down to colors. Branding is
Yeah.
not just colors. Branding is so much more. As you said, the photos, the textures, the patterns, illustrations, even that you use, all help to support that one single message that is your branding message.
I think I just feel more capable of being creative in that way because I would tend to just get frustrated, and because I could spend hours on a graphic and still think, oh, it's not quite right, or it's not quite right, or it's not quite right.
Mm,
And I think somewhere along the way in the Sprout process, I was introduced to so many different ways of putting a graphic together, simple things
mm,
that I actually realized that I didn't have to put all that effort in to get
mm.
something that looks really impactful. And there were just a few little tips in there that you gave us around how can you make something really impactful actually in a really simple way with just one or two um, aspects to it.
Yeah.
And I really liked that because I think I was thinking that creativity, when I saw it in other people, was very complex and very
Mm,
multi-layered and I love seeing that in other people, but it's not really me. I tend to be quite minimal and simple. And I think I was trying through the creative process to be again something that I'm not really. And I think looking at different things in Sprout just gave me the permission to say, well, actually, it looks just as impactful in a simple way if I just use this one design but I position it in a certain way on the page, then or in certain colors, wow, it actually looks nice. So it almost just gave me the permission be to keep things simple and just be me in the way that I do things. When you get your colors and your fonts to suit you, you don't almost don't need as much. I think part of it was also like they weren't quite right. So I would put it and it's something, it needs something. So I would think that meant I needed to add something. But actually the thing that was missing was just that it wasn't quite me. The color
Yeah.
wasn't quite me, or the font wasn't quite me. Whereas now if I put just a couple words on the page or just one image in one color, I automatically think, oh, that fits my brand, because the colors and the font are just so
Yeah.
on point. I just also just love the kind of flexibility that you give us, because I know that my brand's an autumn brand. And other people may have a winter brand or a summer brand or whatever. And yet sometimes there's just this, well, I don't fully fit the box, because we don't usually. And so it's nice to be able to say, okay, so maybe I'm an autumn brand, but this color feels like it goes for me, with my message, with my other colors, and that it's not with you, it's not so black and white. It's okay, so why are you bringing it in? Let's look at why, and does it reflect what you're trying to show, rather than it doesn't fit the box of autumn. So it feels very supportive to always have those videos and to have you there to give us feedback. But it also just feels extra lovely that we can give you our thoughts and ask for your opinion on what it is that we're looking to express.
Exactly.
So it really does feel empowering to have the skills and have the resources, but to also have that flexibility as well.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, you've got to start somewhere. The seasons are there as really a guide, just to start a conversation between you and your brand. And at the end of the day, it's perfectly fine. In fact, it's encouraged to kind of break the mold of sticking to the one season, because that's where you can really make your brand unique and stand out. All right. Because, if you were wholly autumn, then that's fine. But if you feel like leaning into another season for your patterns or, this kind of thing, then that's what's going to make your brand more unique, because no one else is going to be leaning the way you're leaning. Yeah.
It was just wonderful. I always love to be in a group. I know some people, everybody's different, and some people say they like to kind of do the self-study type things, but I always find so much benefit from being in a group, because other people don't see us how we see ourselves. And what's really interesting is other people tend to see aspects of ourselves that we wouldn't really see as being that great. And they draw out those parts that we're maybe shamed a little bit or thought is a bit too much. And then someone will say something, I love this part about you, or this particular color makes me think this about, your message. And it is just very supportive to be in a group of other people. And I also just love giving my feedback as well. To see somebody else evolving and to be able to contribute to that, what I can, it just makes me feel like there's a dialogue going on, that I'm part of a conversation, because I really believe that we're put with people who we can learn from, but also that we can help in some way. And so I think that the people that find themselves in the same Sprout group have probably got really some similar threads in common, have got things that they could help each other with. that will just organically come out as they're talking openly in the group about things that they're maybe finding more difficult or things that they've noticed about themselves. And other people can just help you dig into that a little bit in a way that you really can't do by yourself. We tend to kind of not see ourselves in the same grandeur as other people do. So we tend, don't we? We tend to kind of say, oh, well, maybe that color's not for me because it's a bit too out there, or it's a bit too boring, or it's whatever kind of story we have around ourselves tends to get put onto the canvas. So having other people there to help us see through that and to help us to express those parts that are probably really looking to be expressed, but we just are trying to kind of dampen them down, or maybe don't even notice that we're doing that. I think that's really lovely to be in a group. And obviously the ladies in my group were just amazing too. I love their brands and I love how different our styles were. It was amazing, wasn't it? How completely different we all ended up being, and yet we come from a very similar place in terms of values. And so we're helping each other to express different things, but from very much an even playing field and equal kind of values. So that's always really lovely.
Yeah. And I think being in the group as well gives confidence, gives you confidence, when you're getting the positive feedback back from the others, you go, oh yeah, actually I may just be onto something here. Whereas if you're doing the journey on your own and you're not getting that feedback, you're kind of second guessing yourself. Is this right?
Yeah.
Doubt. So much doubt comes into being when you're in business on your own. So, having that feedback just gives you the confidence to just keep going.
Quite often, and I see this a lot when I work with people with their writing and things as well, and their offers is, it's like, this is my thing, but it's not really. It's just the thing that they think is their thing, because they're trying to make it the proper thing or the way it should be. But actually other people can see through that, and they will question you and say, but is that, because from what you've told me about your brand, that doesn't really fit. And then you go, oh yeah. And I think that was the case for me with the blue. I love the blue and I felt the depth of it. And part of me was thinking, I need this kind of blue to show the kind of magical, mystical aspect. I'd some kind of story I had was associating this deep blue with that, so it needed to be there. And then I kind of wanted to let go of it, but I don't think I would have been able to without other people validating that little voice in me that knew it wasn't really the right color, but was kind of trying to keep hold of it. So as soon as other people reflected to me, oh, but the deep green is just so you and so mystical, and I thought, oh, well then I'm okay. I don't need the blue actually. So it was like a safety in, I guess, just that little validation of the voice that I had about something that didn't really fit, but I wasn't quite ready to admit that it didn't really fit.
You got the confirmation that you were subconsciously probably looking for.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for having me.